There's some nutty stuff going on out in the bars. I think it's gotten worse in the past couple of years. And when you add some ego head's paycheck and a little bit of alcohol and a woman or two, and things can go from weird to downright insane real quick. If you're going to be doing it, number one, you're going to be playing 8-ball, and number two, I would not recommend doing it solo. And there's always some, knocker running around, knocking people's action and not knowing how to keep their mouth shut. Tends to get weirder the later it gets, too. So, hey, I've been playing 8-ball just to brush up on the game, it's a whole different world. I'd much rather play 9-ball at this point, but I've been finding myself not practicing 8-ball, but playing it more just to get action and, And some of these guys, the minute you mention 9-balls, the minute they think you're God's gift to pool and you're just chasing them away. So the guys that specialize in 8-ball, most of them, not all of them, just tend to shy away from 9-ball players because that's, things are changing. That's where all the action was, 9-ball and 10-ball, and one pocket. But especially one pocket. And most of these guys out in the bars never even heard of the game, And some of the bars they don't play ball in, they play by the old rules, And so if you scratch, it's behind the head string. And some of them try to use that for their advantage, and just freaking stupid crap, I'm too old for all the drama and the craziness, and I'm not ready to get shot, Yeah, the bars are getting nuts. I don't know what it's like around where you live, but around here they're getting stupid. Yeah, there really is, but number one, it'd be very uncommon. I think the best thing to do is to find a really good personal pool instructor, and the key word there is good. Because for every good one, there's probably 5 or 6 who are absolutely terrible. Yeah. I hate to say that, but it's true. The problem with learning how to play pool is you can't see yourself while you're doing it. You can know what you're supposed to do, but getting down and doing it is a totally different thing. And you can't really tell if you're doing it wrong. So at the very least, get yourself a video camera and put yourself on camera. But then it becomes hard to self-analyze, and to self-critique. Because you don't, if you know a pool, you're not a pool instructor, right? So, how the hell can you critique critique yourself when you don't really know what the hell you're doing. If the instructor's really good, then their time and their knowledge is valuable, and the exact value is really determined by you. So sit down and have a beer with them and talk. And by the way, it doesn't have to be a male. The best instructor in this country, as far as I'm concerned, is Jennifer Beretta, who does not have a wiener. But Jennifer's in New York City, and chances are you're probably not in New York City. So that doesn't mean that, there's not a great instructor living around you somewhere. Your instructor doesn't have to be, a pro player, although it greatly helps your resume. Sit down and have a beer with them and just figure out if you like this person, if you trust this person, if you're compatible with this person. And that's my best advice, is to get a good instructor. And the first thing they're going to do is watch you play a little bit, and they're going to make a list of the things that you need to work on, and it's probably going to be some of your basics. Stance, bridge, the way you get down on the ball, the levelness of your eyes, things like that. And they're probably going to get straight to work on your stroke too, because that's the most common flaw. If you're starting out with the correct basics is absolutely vital, because although there's been players who've gotten to the top with horrible basics, it's very rare, and they did it despite their bad basics, and it's just going to make it really hard on you to be consistent and excel. So that's the first thing that an instructor is going to tackle with you. I suppose the first thing is to determine what you expect, what you want, what your aim is, what your goal is. You might not, want to take your game all the way to the top. You might just want to be able to compete with your friends, and or maybe join a league or something like that, and just go out and have fun without making a fool of yourself, and there's nothing wrong with it. So a little self-assessment on what you're trying to do helps a lot. In some states, the average pool player is a much better player than the average pool player in another state. And that's because that state has... what happens is a couple pros will move to a certain state for whatever reason, like Ohio or Florida or Texas or California. And because the players in that area now understand what a great pool player is, they start comparing themselves with that great pool player. So if the best pool player in your area, can run 5 balls, that player is great compared to the person who can only run 2 balls. You understand? So it's all relative. And so if you never get to see a great player, you don't know what a great player is capable of doing, and your whole world is kind of distorted there. And if you stick with the game and progress throughout the years, you'll go back and see these other guys play, or you'll play yourself as you progress, and you'll wonder why you ever thought that guy was any good. And this is what happens, because when you start progressing, you start getting out on seeing better players, and instead of comparing yourself with the guy that can run 5 balls, now you're comparing yourself with the guy who can run 5 racks, and just everything changes. So you should get to the place in your region, your area, where all the better players hang out, and hang out with them and be friends with them. Talk to them. Buy them some potato skins. So chances are they're all broke and hungry. Yeah, bribe them. It's important to know you're always going to compare yourself with somebody, even if you're a top-ranking pro. So just make the people that you're comparing yourself to truly great players. Otherwise, it's going to hurt you to be surrounded by people who can't play and be the best in the room. It's really not saying much. The local people who don't know anything, you might impress them, but what the hell good is that? And that brings up a whole other topic of ego, which I'm going to be getting into in yet another Disque video. Ego's a good thing. You show me a man without an ego, and I'll show you a loser, there's no doubt about it. But it can also be your biggest downfall, and we're going to talk about that soon in another video. Yeah, a little bit. Not very much, because it's about as fun as getting a colonoscopy. When I set out to play pool, when I set out to go play pool, I'm already picturing myself running a 7-pack. Because the record is a 6-pack, right? Including the breaks, no ghost shit. So that's what I'm determined to do. So I've already got it in my mind that I'm going out to play either 8-ball or 9-ball. But a lot of my friends play 1-pocket. And some of the things required for that particular game are things that I don't have. Like patience. Patience is not... if it's genetic, I don't have that gene. It's just, I don't have a lot of patience. And, it plays against me sometimes, but it's just the way I am, It's my standard line when my friends ask me to play, and they're always trying to get me to play, is that I'm not old enough to play 1-pocket. Because it's a lot of older players play 1-pocket because they have what the game demands: intelligence, money, and patience. Mostly patience. I'm actually working on a 1-pocket video, believe it or not. Yeah, imagine that. I've played not very well. Sometimes I'll hit a gear. I have to be in the mood to play it, and I'm not always in that mood. I can switch back and forth from 9-ball to 8-ball to 10-ball, but 1-pocket takes a certain thing that I don't have the switch for, you know. I can't just put myself in the mood to play it. It's just not my thing, man. But I have, of the little that I have played it, I've played with really good players. So I know the moves that it takes. I know the level. I know the thought process that it takes to be a high level one-pocket player. So yeah, I'll be looking for that video. It's kind of a change of pace in, you know, what we normally do around these parts. People do that for different reasons. I came up around a bunch of guys that did that, and I think they all just copied each other. And then it just turns into a habit. I do it because I can see the exact spot that I want to hit on the cue ball without my cue stick in the way, you know what I mean? I gotta urinate, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. Speaking of wieners. Yeah, it looks cool. No, I didn't really know why they were doing it when I was, you know, just learning the basics of this game. You know, you can tell they're not drawing the ball when the ball goes forward, so it wasn't to draw the ball. So I just kind of took for granted that they could see more of the cue ball. And when you're cueing at the bottom of the cue ball, there's less of a space to find center ball. You know what I mean? It's hard to explain. I'd have to draw a picture of it or something. Yeah, I mean, I could easily find center ball by cueing low on the cue ball. And then on the final stroke, I'll hit center ball. And that you know, that's used as a relative base, or I could also put top left on it, or top right, or whatever. Although I do draw the ball more than the average pool player does. And there's a different reason for that, but then we'll get in. I think I have gotten into that in some of my videos. I think it's great. I've always been an Earl fan. I'm a fan of his pool game when he hits a gear, and I'm not a fan of his. You know, it takes all kinds, and I think it comes down to acceptance that determines people's happiness. You know, as long as someone's not killing someone else or in any way hurting anyone else but themselves. I think just because they're a little different doesn't mean you have to hate them. I mean, the world would really suck if everybody was exactly like each other. So, at the end of the day, Earl's pool game speaks for him, and just take a look at his record. I'm a fan of it. Keith McCready was trying to get to be named co-captain of this team, which I thought was an excellent idea. I mean, he was just talking about it on Facebook, and the idea got a lot of support because, you know, Keith is Keith. And yeah, bring some beer and let's have some fun here instead of being Though Earl's probably going to go off because he really can't handle, and he was talking about this. Ronnie Rose steered me to a new interview with Earl where he was talking about, doing his part for the U.S. team in the Moscone Cup this year. I think it's a great idea because it brings more viewers in, and just because Earl's a little explosive and goes off, and he probably will because he just told all the hecklers that the heckling gets to him. And I know where Earl is coming from, and he brings up a comparison where imagine if these hecklers were at a golf tournament, doing this shit, and they'd be thrown right out. So I think he does contribute to the bad reputation of the pool, and it makes us seem like a bunch of, idiots with no class. And I know why it gets under his nerves and all that. Go ahead and cheer away. You're supposed to cheer. You're supposed to pull for your team, and you're supposed to. That's great. But heckling players, while they're shooting, especially, is really sleazy, and it really hurts the sport, and it makes us look like a bunch of idiots. And he's talking about being in good shape and being ready. There you go. Earl's gonna take him out in the parking lot. And Jeremy Jones, of course, is gonna be there, and Earl and Jeremy have their past, so it's good to see that Jeremy can man up and put it all behind him. And I think it's good for a pool as long as it doesn't get too out of hand, which is possible. Golf succeeded by associating the sport with wealth, prestige, and respect. And there are times in pool's history we tried to do the same thing, and players had to wear like tuxedos while they were playing and shit. And it didn't work because the public found out the truth about how much we were making, and it just didn't work. So we became a bunch of fakers that weren't what we said we were. This is why I'm a fan of John Daly, who came into the golf world and just shook up all the rich folks and golf. And there's no sport more boring than golf. Let's just face it. It's with the whispering commentators and that whole act. But the act worked for them because they had something to back up the act. You know what I mean? They had the money, and this is how they did it. They appealed to rich people. So, the result with pool was we became a sport for broke-ass people, with no schooling, no education, no big mansion, we were grinding out there, 200 players playing for 20 grand. We got stuck there because of the truth of the matter. We didn't have the goods to back it up. 1991 Vegas dump-off really hurt the game a lot. We were starting to come back at that point and gain more respect and more prestige. And then the 91 dump really truly hurt the sport. And Vegas got the word out not to trust any pool player ever. Yeah. Oh, I think that's a result of more and more bar tables coming into play. Or that's part of it. Yeah. The real pool rooms are going out with the dinosaur. And all we're left is bars and bar tables. Yeah. I don't think Corey Doole's ever made a closed bridge in his life. And that guy still does not know how to chalk a pool cue. But yet he's one of the greatest players in the world. So it shows you right there that a closed bridge is not necessary. I don't know, you can call it old school at this point, you probably could. A yacht was breaking with an open bridge. Power break.